Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wingcat Sports, and it's another rare video as we get back into basketball before the playoffs start. I thought, why not? Let's talk about it. They've been reminiscing a little bit of the bad boys of the 90s and the early 2000s Pistons with how aggressive they were on defense. They're kind of mimicking that and getting in fights almost every other night recently. They do have some suspensions. Isaiah Stewart got suspended 2 games, and then 2 other guys got suspended 1 game. I believe Holland and someone else. Um, but overall, they have not played that bad. Or Marcus Sazzer was the other guy who got suspended, but they haven't played bad. Again, from the both of us, from even the last week, we don't watch basketball that much. I think, you watch like half a game this year?
Yeah, I'm getting used to the names. I really don't watch pro basketball at all. But it seems like whenever Detroit has success, the Pistons at least, it's because they take on that bad boy persona. It started with the Lambeer and Mahorn era with Isaiah and that whole team, Rodman, which I grew up with. That's when I liked basketball. That's when I was a big fan of it. Jordan kind of ruined it for me because it just turned away from a team concept into it seemed like the whole league was just pandering to one person. But every time the Pistons have had success, they've been a rough and tumble team, and it's good to see. It's fun to watch that. They are actually probably maybe bringing a trend back, defense, to the NBA.
He's trying to. The problem is,
might as well have an identity.
NBA does not like defense. They like offense.
Well, they don't. They may not like it, but the Pistons say, that's our identity. They could be the anomaly. They could be the team, and I think people will come see them because of it. They want to see someone take their heads off.
Lately, people have.
And not cheap shots, but that's what always got me pissed off because they said Lambeer was a cheap shot. He wasn't a cheap shot artist. The guy was a really good defender, and he fouled hard. And yeah, maybe a few were borderline cheap, but that you need that element. I always feel maybe they don't feel, and that's why I stopped watching because, like you said, the NBA stopped feeling defense. That was part of the game.
They don't want defense as much. When you have games that are 120 to 110 and all that constantly, there's no defense in the game. If you remember, I didn't really even watch basketball then either, but like the 04 Pistons, they were winning games 75 to 67.
Defense.
And it was just
Ben Wallace was defense. Defense.
But
the guy freaking was you couldn't make a foul shot of his life dependent on.
But with the newer teams,
was a monster rebounder and defender.
With the newer teams, as far as I know, because I semi pay attention, I just never really watched him. Isaiah Stewart seems to be the guy who is the one who's willing to go after people if needed, the one that kind of causes the problems with the fights. But from what I know from the last fight, it wasn't on the Pistons. It was the Timberwolves who antagonized them, and then the Pistons just all backed them up, and you had the brawl.
Right, I heard it wasn't even the Pistons' fault. But
more Pistons, 3 Pistons to 2 Timberwolves got ejected from that game. So, got ejected, but also suspended from that game. So,
personally, I'm going to tune back in now because of this. If I don't want to watch a game where every night 120 is probably the average of scoring.
Well, and that's the thing.
It's just nothing.
They still have been scoring a lot because you're going to say, they haven't been scoring a lot. The Pistons, the games are still high scoring. They're just a lot more in their face.
Right.
The last game, they lost 123 to 104 to the Timberwolves. They beat the Cavs 133 to 122 in regulation. It's still high scoring games compared to what you're used to seeing. But that's the new NBA. You're guaranteed to almost have over 100 points every single game from both teams. But looking ahead, I know you don't know too much about it. Right now in the standings, they're 5th place, 2 games back of the Pacers for a home series, which we'll see if they can do it.
Aren't they playing the Pacers coming up, or no?
I was about to get into that. So they're also a game and a half up on the Bucks. It all depends on who you want to play. Personally, I would not want to play the Bucks out of the 3 possible teams.
They haven't been in the playoffs so long. Who cares? Just get in.
We'll just get in. Well, they are going to get in. They're not missing the play.
Right,
they're guaranteed. So, it's more of let's make sure we're not doing the play-in game.
I think right there, you made your goal. You made the playoffs this year. Way to go.
My goal for you.
That doesn't, and you can play pressure free. Go out there and
Well,
freaking
yeah.
throw the kitchen sink at them and
Base
play their asses off.
Basically,
You don't have to worry
you
about it.
want to avoid the play-in game, right? Which you are currently 5.5 games up on a play-in
Right.
game. So that's what you want to avoid. You do not want to play in game. I think that would be kind of a failure from where you went. You have won 3 times as many games this year as you did last year, which is the first time in
Bickerstaff, man.
first
Way to
time in
go.
NBA history you did that.
You got to
But
give these guys. That's amazing. That's a great.
but
What were we talking about last year? We said, we thought the Red Wings would definitely make the playoffs before the Pistons.
And they either will both make it at the same time, or they're going to make, or the Pistons are going to make
just blew them out of the water.
And, but coming up this month,
and what is it that the Red Wings can take from the Pistons?
Defense,
some toughness, some hitting, some fighting,
some defense. Well,
some
the Red Wings fought the other day, but
well, they had to
bring
people up who aren't normally on the team to do it, and count on their best player, Alex DeBrincat, who shouldn't be fighting, but he's the only guy they got who's tough.
So looking ahead, though, obviously we're into the month of April now. They're going to play Wednesday. This is probably when the video comes out. But Wednesday against one of the best teams in the league in the Thunder. You are in Oklahoma. However, you just beat one of the best teams in the league in the Cavs. So you might be able to take on the Thunder, though you're in Oklahoma City.
When do they play Indiana if they do?
They do not.
What the freak? Okay.
They do play. They do play 2 out of the 3 teams that they might play in the playoffs, though. Because they're going to go to Toronto, which is not good this year. You'll probably get a win there. You're going to play another good team in the Grizzlies later on this week. Then you're going to play the Kings, who are just below 500, so you might be able to get away with the win there. You're going to play the Knicks at home. Again, you're not going to catch up to the Knicks. It's more or less, are you going to play them in the playoffs or are you not? The reason I don't really want to play the Bucks is because you end the season with 2 straight games against the Bucks. So if you have a 7-game series against Milwaukee, you're going to have 9 games in a row against them.
Just play them. Just go out there and you are pressure free. That's what I like about like I said, that's the one benefit of, they haven't been in the playoffs a long time. Nobody in Detroit is going to get on you as long as you go out there and play your asses off and give everything you got. If you even get swept, no one's going to care. You made the playoffs. You made some big improvements. Great. Let's go out and do the best you can and maybe steal a few games by playing your butts off.
Well, you look at it, they should win a handful of the games. Again, you haven't won a playoff series, I think, since 2008. Or not even a playoff series, a playoff game since 2008. So you're also aiming for that. You're aiming to you're aiming to break that, right? Because you don't want to have that still on you. You're going to be in your first playoff series since 2017. Surprisingly, I didn't know it was like that soon. It's like 2018, the last time they were in the playoffs. Which again, surprisingly, I thought it was a lot longer than that, but it's still a decent amount of time. About the same time as the Red Wings haven't been in the playoffs.
That's right. Well, like I said, Malice at the Palace was the last time I kind of watched this kind of stuff. Now we got to have Havoc at the LCA.
We'll see what it's again.
I wish it was Indiana again, big brawler.
They could play Indiana in a playoff series.
That would be outstanding.
Your 3 teams you're going to play.
What would they have to do to play them? They'd have to get the 4th seed or something?
No, it could be 4 or 5. Us in Indiana are 4 and 5 right now.
Let's get the 5th seed.
So you can either, you want the 4 seed. You want a home series.
Whatever. I want to play Indiana. So
between your 3, right, if you end up dropping to the 6th seed, you're going to play New York. Which, again, I think that could be a fun series to watch. I don't really watch basketball that much, but I think that could be entertaining. I don't know how bad that would be for the Pistons. I've known the Knicks have sucked for a while, and in the last couple of years, they've gotten better. I think it would just be an interesting series overall. Indiana, you could have them at home. You could have them away. Still, I think that would be an entertaining series as well, but just because of the local rivalry and the history. And I don't really know how much of a rivalry it is right now compared to, back in the day when they were making the playoffs. But I know that is one of the older historic rivals of the Pistons. And then you have the chance to play Milwaukee. You could end up playing Milwaukee as a 4 and 5 and having a home series with that. That'd be the only way that happens is you probably get the 4 seed, they get the 5 seed, and Indiana drops. You're more than likely probably going to either play Indiana or New York in a road series, most likely, because again, most of the teams you're playing aren't terrible. Uh, every single one of them, except for 2 of the games left, are above 500. Um, and I believe they are all playoff teams. But you're going to at least be in a play-in game, which you shouldn't be anyways. You are 5 games up with 7 games remaining. Meaning if you can win 2 more, you're in. Your magic number, I believe, is like 2 right now.
Was what?
2.
2 is a magic number.
Because that's all you have left before you don't have to worry about playing because you're 5.5 up on
No, I'd
them.
love to play Indiana though. Now that I know that, I'm going to be rooting for that.
That is your potential. That is the current first round matchup is a Detroit Indiana series. So that is what
keep it that way, man.
And again, we'll see what happens. Again, you're without guys for the next game at least, right? Isaiah Stewart's out the next 2 between. So you're probably going to end up losing to the Thunder just because you're missing guys. Well, we'll see what ends up happening. Should beat the Raptors. We'll see how they play the Grizzlies. That should be a good game to watch. The Kings, they should beat. The Knicks at home, they have a chance. And then they might split it with the Bucks. So I think they still have a few wins. If they win out, there's 7 games remaining. If they win out, they'll be at 49 wins.
Great. Do you think they should, if they get to the playoffs, they should walk out to bad boys, what you gonna do?
They're not going to do that. They wouldn't do that. They would definitely
Bad Boys 2, 3. Actually,
I said it'd be 3 because some people
that's
consider
right.
the
Bad
04.
Boys 3.
They could consider the 04
Although I don't
Pistons.
think they ever referred to Ben Wallace's team as Bad Boys. So, but did you see Isaiah Thomas came out and was like, "These guys are us again. Detroit's got its team back." Because he knows this is what Detroit loves. They like a bruising, physical.
They want that defensive team.
Take note, Steve Eiserman. You actually played with Bob Probert. You know what the freak Detroit fans love. And get yourself some goons. Get yourself some heavy players.
We'll see what happens.
Be like the Pistons.
But we'll probably be a little bit more frequent on a Pistons video here or there. I don't know if we'll get one before the playoffs. That's why I kind of did a monthly one. But it'll be interesting at least. If something happens within this week, probably we'll talk about it again. But we'll see. Again, we're not big basketball guys here. But like I said last
I'm gonna get my bad boy shirt out again.
But like I said last video, they deserve their flowers. They've done well. And we will talk about them throughout the playoffs and then probably see from there how our basketball stuff is doing. We'll end it here, though. If you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about the Pistons and what they can do. And until next time, see everybody soon.